Hey guys, it's Matt, welcome to SpeedTutor and welcome to the first video of 2023, and this is going to be a video of the culmination of all the polls I've done in 2022, and these are specifically about game dev, whether that's how much you've rated Unity, specific features of games, and even really silly polls too. And this can be a great way for you to find information about what your fellow developers or what other users like in specific games, and maybe it can help you push your game to the next level. So be sure to comment down below if you have any poll suggestions surrounding game dev, new features, what people like to see, and hopefully in 2023 we can make this even bigger. But be sure to throw a like on this video and check out all the links in the description for all the best sales savings and everything you can find in Unity and game dev. And also check out my Patreon to get access to over 175 different scripts, assets, and projects. And we start off with a bit of a silly one where I asked what was the longest time that you've ever played a game without stopping. And we got some actually surprising result. 46% of the people who actually voted went 10 hours plus of playing a game that's just non-stop. The average was probably around 4 to 8 hours, and I think that's a great way if you make an awesome game. Then a poll I thought would be fun to ask everybody is what is the worst thing in game development. So we've got 23% of people saying that they forgot to save and losing hours of work, which I expected to be a little bit higher. The bug that can't be fixed, which is 49%, which I felt that deeply ingrained in me too. 9% said the code that works, but it shouldn't. But I think that's a good thing. You just sweep that under the carpet and you don't have to worry. Then 7% the game engine crashing, which is an annoying thing. I think you could add all these to the list of annoyances. Then I asked a bit of an interest one, a bit of a silly one. It's hard to get it down into a poll, but what would be a feature that you'd like to see in every single video game? And 33% said they'd like customization, 10% in stealth, 9% in a photo mode, 36% with quick traveling, and 12% with additional activities. But again, this is hard to get a read exactly on what everybody liked, because it's very specific on the type of game. But I think what you can take away is that everybody likes additional features, whether that makes life slightly easier when you're traversing the game, but additional features just to extend and make the game more personal. Whether that's character customization, whether that's having a photo mode to be able to take your own pictures to enjoy it. I asked what would you rate Unity at this point in time? This was around 9 months ago when I asked this. 35% surprisingly said 5 stars. The average was around 4 stars at 54%, 3 stars 8%, 2 stars 1%, and 1 star 3%. So I think that most people who use Unity actually enjoy their experience for the most part and find it a good engine to use. Then I thought it'd be fun to ask, which post-processing do you really hate? So you can take this into account when you're making your next game and using post-processing. You maybe need a toggle in your menu to turn that on and off. 61% of people who voted said they didn't like motion blur, and that's the same with me. I instantly turned that off. Film grain 12%, depth of field 4%, chromatic aberration 15%, and bloom 8%. In my opinion, I would always turn film grain off, motion blur off, most likely depth of field off it, and chromatic aberration, because they just get in the way of my gameplay experience personally. Now on the side of that, I wanted to know that whether you're a gamer or a developer, what's the most annoying thing that people find in a game? So when you're going to release or when you're putting it out to the public, and what's the biggest crux to everybody? So 27% said losing their save, and that is a difficult one because it might not necessarily be down to you as to why the save was lost. Could be some corruption, it could be some issue, it could have been tested poorly, or it could be the system that you use to save. 15% of game crashing, whether that could be a problem with your code, but that does stem maybe to the one lower down of poor optimization. 4% of people did say that if there's no manual saving, but 44% did say poor optimization in games, especially if you're trying to reach a target frames per second, like 60 FPS, you need good optimization to make sure the experience is enjoyable as possible in all parts of your game or to the best of your ability. And then 10% of people said the boring side content. And on the side of Unity, I wanted to ask a really fun question. If you had to choose, would you watch Unity import something forever but never complete? 11% of people said they would choose that. Unity crashes right before you finish your project. 11%. Overwhelming majority of people would rather get eaten by a giant hamster than be put through any of the awfulness that Unity throws at you when you're working on a project. And this next one is about the best way to play a game or what input type you use. And I think this is really, really interesting because I don't know if this is swayed directly to PC users because they would see the poll, but 66% of people said that they enjoy using, of the people who voted, mouse and keyboard to play their games. I did use the PlayStation Xbox controller separately, but if they're added together, that'd be about 28% of users, then much lower for VR and mobile. Especially if you're releasing for PC, you should have the capability to use a controller because that fits a good portion of the market, but of course you're most likely developing for a mouse and keyboard. So I asked that what you drink while you're developing, and I did an original poll which came out with the overwhelming majority of water rather than fizzy drinks or energy drinks. But I did a rematch poll because I wanted to combine certain things together, add tea and coffee and things like that, so I feel as if it's more accurate. So 55% in the end have water or fruit juice when they're doing anything. Tea and coffee is around 21% to keep you alive, I guess. Then 13% for any sort of fizzy sodas or energy drinks, 3% for milk, and 8% couldn't handle their alcohol. So I think that's interesting that in two polls, both the water and the fruit juice came out on top, and the tea and coffee was obviously a big one that I forgot originally. So out of everything, what type of game do you prefer, whether that's single player, competitive, co-op, or single and multiplayer combined? 45% of the people who voted actually said that they prefer single player games. Only 13% said that they prefer competitive multiplayer, 16% like co-op games, 24% did like single player and multiplayer combined. Games companies really sway to the idea that only multiplayer games sell and you should lean on that, and single player games are not successful. But I think that there's such a yearning for a single player experience, or something which, if you combine single and multiplayer in terms of co-op or otherwise, I think it can make for a really great balance. And I think this is a great one for anybody developing a game, is that which mission type you guys found the most annoying. So 58% said that they really dislike the tailing or the following type mission where, you can't get caught or something like that. And I would argue it is one of the worst mission types because it's boring. Usually the AI that you're following walks too slow. You get caught, you try and rush after it, and then you fail it and have to start again. 7% said when you've got to claim a particular tower over and over again. 21% said time limited. Yeah, I have to agree with that as well. 11% fetch quest, but the majority of games have that. 4% said stealth. We've got the two biggest contention of polls coming up. So I asked, what's more important, graphics or gameplay? This one was the biggest voted on poll that I had, that 5% said graphics, 91% said gameplay, and 4% said something else. So an absolutely landslide majority wants there to be solid gameplay over the graphics that you have. Don't get me wrong, the graphics can bring somebody to your page, but then the gameplay will keep them staying and thinking, yeah, I might give this a go, for definite. And then round 2, I thought I'd decide that we'd ask, what's more important, audio or graphics? Because I would arguably say you can have a game which is completely just a black screen, but if the audio's there, that makes the world. And let's say you don't have any audio and you just have a silent world, it feels really strange. So 27% said that audio is the most important. 49% said graphics, but then I also added in another suggestion that whether it was such a difficult question that one can't live without the other almost, and 24% said it was evil. Then I was curious that when you're using apps, coding, browsing, whatever it is, what type of theme do you use, whether it's light, dark, or an alternative mode? And there was a really small percentage of people who actually use light modes, alternative modes, and dark modes are actually really, really popular, as I use them myself. And I think that can be really important if you're going to make an app yourself, or maybe cater your game. Make sure the contrast is good for people to be able to see everything within your UI, within your menu, or otherwise. I thought a big one would be about what IDE you use. If people don't know what IDE is, it's the program that you use to write your code into when you're doing your game development. 63% actually said Visual Studio, 24% Visual Studio Code, 10% with the JetBrains Rider, and 2% maybe using Notepad. There is a big sway towards Visual Studio products, but as we expect, what's bundled with Unity is Visual Studio, so that's the biggest one that people use. And this is one that I wanted to throw in because it's always great, like I said earlier, to add additional features into your game about trophies or achievements or additional things that people can earn. So out of everybody, when I asked, do you like earning them? 53% said yes they do, 8% said no they don't, but 39% said they can take it or leave it. So again, if you've got the option, because people have this ingrained idea to be a completionist or to complete it or to attain something as actually adding additional features to the game, make sure you add some trophies, achievements, whatever they may be in any context to your game. This is another one that I found really interesting. So what is the monitor resolution that you use for game deving or gaming? Only 6% said they were working with less than 1080p. 60% said a full HD or 1080p, which is surprising. 20% said 440p or 2K, only 9% with 4K resolution, and then another 4% which might have a widescreen or a different type of resolution entirely. So I think that's a great bit of information. There is a much bigger sway to much lower resolutions when you're creating games, and obviously if you want to cater for much higher resolutions you can, but it's a much smaller amount of the actual player base that you have. Did you actually study game art, programming or design in college or university? 25% of you said yes they have and they found it useful. 13% said yes they have, but it was rubbish. 55% of you actually said you were self-taught. 1% said they've had some private tuition, and 6% didn't know what they were doing at all. It doesn't surprise me that the vast majority of you are actually self-taught or have done something in your own time. Now I wanted to ask, what is the biggest game dev mistake that you can make? 15% said forgetting to save. 44% said never creating a backup. 19% said rushing a mechanic. 12% said releasing too early. And then 11% said that they would specify something other. And I say this to everybody, always create a backup of your work, because before you know it, something can happen, something can crash, something can go wrong, and then you are literally screwed. Then I wanted to know, out of everybody who voted, have you ever released a video game or completed something yourself? 29% said they had, 22% said they hadn't, 35% said if they ever managed to finish it, so that could be added to the yes in some instances that you're really trying, and 11% said they start a new one before they finish the last. 4% just said they just love playing games in general. And then a couple of the last polls that I thought were really interesting, that are you actually creating a game at this very moment in time? 61% of you said you are, 12% said you're not, 14% said you're really thinking about it, 7% once you've learned more you might, and 6% said you might if you could even decide what to make. So I think that's an overwhelming majority of you are actually doing it, or a good portion are actually thinking about it, and maybe the rest are just learning or building up the confidence to come up with an idea that they can feel that they can take and start doing. I hope you like this video, and be sure to comment down any polls you want to see this year, and make sure that if you see them from the channel, give it a vote, that we can get a big consensus. So be sure to check out my Patreon to get access to over 175 different scripts, assets and projects you cannot find anywhere else. Be sure to check out all the links in the description for all the sales, savings and everything in game dev for this month. Be sure to check out all my great assets on my website with bonus discounts and the Unity Asset Store. And a massive thank you to all my patrons, including Peter Steiner, Raheem Whittaker, Manos Berikas, Walter Dunstan, Irene Leisure, Alyssa Faden, Daniel Getishank, Izukawa Takuya, Hush, Thomas Merceleski, Callum Murray, Mark Rondu, Marvin Church, Hoglen Nigan, Thomas Lopez, Curry for Life Gaming, Sunu, Ji-Sung Park, Mercury27, Brandon Mannion, Austin Certain, Gene Y. Quained, Duan Cooper, James McCarthy, Johan Elixon, Leslie Winter, Alison Corkill, Anna Kirinov, Kelvin Martin, Heather Fletcher, Connor Rose, Mark Vacon, and Jose Herrera. And a big thank you to everybody who supports me and watches the video. So, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Cheers.